Don't make these 5 mistakes if you're moving to North Texas.
You've been eyeing North Texas, good schools, lower taxes, space to breathe. But most people make at least one of these 5 mistakes when moving to North Texas, and it wrecks the entire experience.
Pick the wrong city and you'll end up with brutal commutes, sky-high utility bills, and no community at all. This video breaks down the 5 relocation traps so that we can help you before you get trapped in something you don't want.
But before we get started, I'm Holly Haven.
And I'm Andy Haven.
We are the Haven Home Team, and we are here to be your guide and resource for all things North Texas real estate related. Stay tuned for our 5 mistakes that we want you to avoid, but also that bonus tip that you don't want to miss.
Mistake number 1 that a lot of relocation buyers make is not working with a local real estate agent and not getting the full buyer consultation so that you know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, you can walk into that builder model and chat with the sales rep, but honestly, it's putting you at a disadvantage because that sales rep works for the builder. They represent the seller.
Yeah, and honestly, it's a benefit to you to work with a real estate agent when it comes to working with a builder, because generally the builder does pay the real estate commission. It's not something that comes out of your pocket, and it does benefit you the most in the end.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because there's been so much conversation over the last couple of years with the NAR changes about real estate commissions. And that is a huge thing that buyers have misunderstood. There is still a way to get your buyer agency commission paid for you by the seller or by the builder where it does not come out of your pocket. And that is something that we help our clients navigate through at the time of offer and negotiations.
Working with a local real estate agent can also help you when it comes to long-term equity growth and what that purchase is actually going to do for you in the long term. Looking at something right this second that's beautiful and meets your current budget may not be something that's actually going to last 2, 3, 4, 5 years and be something that's financially a good choice in that decision.
Yeah, a lot of things that buyers miss when they're looking at this beautiful new construction home, especially the model, is all the upgrades, all the things they've added in that model, and what you may or may not get when buying that inventory home or new construction from the ground up. So choosing a home based on paint colors or tile selections can kind of bite you in the butt later. Mistake number 2, ignoring future development.
Yeah, so this is actually a pro and a con. So a lot of times people moving to the area are not aware of all of our traffic and the roads that are being built and the expansions that are coming. And it's one of those things that people just don't really take into consideration. But if you're looking at building on a road like Sunset in Salina, if that's something that you're familiar with, that road is actually being completely redone right now and is going to be a big main road through the city of Salina. So if that's somewhere you're looking to build, it may not be great for future growth for residential, but if you're looking for something in that area, it might be better for commercial or industrial because we know that that area is going to grow in that way. So with that in mind, that's for any city, but that was just a very specific example.
Yeah, we see this happen a lot as a new neighborhood goes in, especially in these rural areas that are becoming suburban very quickly. And we're building on county roads where right now maybe it's 2-lane, the infrastructure is not really there. And so what's going to happen as we build 1,500 new homes on a county road? We are going to have road expansion, and that's going to add extra construction, and it's going to be some good things in the future, but it's potentially going to put you in a bind over the next few years if you're moving in kind of in those early phases.
Yeah, and that's something that a local real estate agent can help you with. We're able to look at all of those future plans. We know what the growth is looking like because we lived through it, and it's something that can just prepare you for the future. Mistake number 3 that a lot of buyers just don't really take into consideration is buying during the wrong buying season. So with real estate, we do see general fluctuations by season, but you also have to understand the current market. Generally, our summer months are the busiest. Spring and summer, we generally have people flocking to buy, and our market is absolutely crazy, and you are seeing so much competition in the market. With that being said, generally fall and winter are our slower seasons to buy and generally less competition in the market. But right now in 2025, summer 2025, we are seeing that there is less competition overall. So right now is actually a great time to buy and does not specifically follow those seasonal trends like they usually do.
Yeah, absolutely. And you really hit it right on the head when you were saying, there's not as much competition.
Yeah.
So we're going into these fall months where you're going to see some of the listings on MLS slow down, maybe fewer listings, but you're going to see less competition, which means you can usually walk in there and kind of snatch up that perfect home, the one home on the market that you really want. You're not going to be fighting for in most cases. So this is really, we're coming into the perfect season to buy. And honestly, having that local real estate resource, like that real estate agent we talked about, can help guide you. We see the market shifting before the data has actually been processed and put out to the public in the media. So we kind of know what's coming before it really hits. And we do think that this fall and winter is going to be a great time for buyers. Mistake number 4, not thinking about how long you will stay in this new home. Whew.
Yeah, this is a big one. If you're not moving to a city that is absolutely booming and exploding, you need to stay in this home for at least 5 years. That is the minimum in my perspective, just depending on equity and the area that you're moving to. And obviously this completely depends on per neighborhood, per school district, per county, stuff like that. But if you're moving to an area that maybe new home growth is very, very new, this is a developing area such as Pilot Point, Van Alstyne, some of these smaller towns that are growing very fast, even Salina still. This is something that at least 2 to 5 years you need to invest your time into these properties.
Yeah, there's a lot of money that goes into purchasing a new home, whether it is, potentially you're buying, paying for agent fees, but you're paying your, loan origination fee, you're making interest payments, which we know that for the first half of the life of your loan is pretty much all interest and less principal. So you're not paying down that home very quickly in those early years, which even though we have an average of 6 to 7% total value increases in the North Texas market year over year, that doesn't mean that every year has 6 to 7%.
Yeah, COVID years, you were seeing 12, 15% per year. Now we may be seeing 2, 3% per year. So it's something that on average, we are seeing 6 to 7%. But the other thing I wanted to mention, other than new build equity growth, is if you're buying a pre-existing home and this is something that you want to flip, you want to put your own flair on it, you need to make sure that you're investing enough time in this project so that you can actually get your money back in the end. If the comps are showing that you have $50K in equity that you can play with once you close and you can sell it for $50,000 more, don't go ahead and just put $50,000 into the property, because guess what? We're now breaking even. So it's something that we need to consider long-term if that's something that you're wanting to do, which there are some great options to go ahead and put your flair on things and get that money back in your investment, but you might have to stay in the home just a little bit longer. Mistake number 5, falling for the buzz of builders. This is something that I think a lot of people fall for, especially when they don't have a realtor, because they're like, oh my God, the builder just said there's only one house left and this one's perfect and I need this one and it's in my budget and blah, 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 blah. That is not always the case. And sometimes that is just a marketing scheme.
Absolutely. You can also negotiate with builders.
Yes.
You do not have to pay the sticker price. Guys, listen to me again. You do not have to pay the sticker price on a new construction home. Certain markets maybe, but not in today's market.
Yes, and something that I recently learned is a lot of builders will allow you one negotiation and then they will come back with their final offer. So at the end of the day, they're generally not going to say no to you, again, depending on the market, but they'll likely come back with, hey, you know what, this is our bottom dollar, you can take it or leave it. And at that point, that's something that you want to make that decision if that's something that the price makes sense at the time. But go ahead and make sure that you're negotiating with these builders. It's worth it, in my opinion.
Actually, go ahead and just hire that real estate agent to negotiate for you. This is what we do all day, every day, and it allows you to free up your brain space to go do what you do all day, which you're really great at. So allowing us to go negotiate with these builders, because we do know what kind of upgrade incentives they're offering. Maybe they're offering a full appliance package or blinds or $25,000 off to pick your own upgrades depending on the stage of construction. So these are things that we do work with consistently. We're very well aware of, and we keep ourselves up to date on also the best builders, the most reputable builders.
Well, and another thing going into that, working with a real estate agent, especially in the state of Texas, if you're relocating, this may not be the case for your state, but in Texas, we're a non-disclosure state. So whenever it comes to comps, people think that they can go on Zillow and find a similar property and think that, you know what, this one sold for $380,000, I'm gonna offer $380,000. The thing is, you actually may not know what the property sold for. So as a real estate agent, we are the only ones that have access to this data so that we can help accurately tell you how much a discount would be, tell you how much the property would go for, and what that equity looks like.
Bonus tip, buy the right house, not just the available one.
Yeah, so in this current market, that's not something that a lot of buyers are having to run into, but in a very, very
oversaturated buyer market like COVID, where we had more buyers than we had homes.
People were kind of just taking what they can get.
Yeah, and it's easy to do when you get excited, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. Maybe this is the first time you've bought in 20 years, and that's super exciting. But it can be really easy to kind of settle for a home because the aesthetics are beautiful. But if the location is not right, the layout is not right, you don't even love driving into the neighborhood, you're going to be calling us in less than 2 years saying, why did you let me do this? So our goal is to kind of do an intake with our buyers. We find out exactly what you need, right? What's your commute look like? What about kids' schools?
Are you planning to have more kids? Because we have a lot of clients that they'll buy this 3-bed, 2-bath home and it's perfect for right now. And then they have 2 kids and they're like, oh my God, we are drowning. We are busting at the seams in this house. And it's something that we should have considered at least a 4-bed, 2-bath or something, even if it's the same square footage, just so that they had room to grow. So just something to take into consideration when you're buying that new home.
Yeah, it's really important to set your requirements, your must-haves, and then kind of your bonus features. So like that 3 or 4 bedroom, but do you need an office? Do you require a big backyard because you have dogs, right? Not settling for that home you just walked into because you saw the model and the model's beautiful and it's really easy to get tied to the aesthetics, kind of like I mentioned. So really kind of having that guide and that plan is a huge help. It's almost like going to the gym without an accountability partner. It's really easy to skip the hard stuff. So that's kind of what we're here for.
If you found this video to be valuable and it's something that you're going to tell all of your friends relocating to watch, we would love for you to go ahead and share this video. Like, comment if there's any questions that you have about relocating to the North Texas area or buying a new build, or honestly just buying anything at all. We can answer all of your questions. Go ahead and follow us on our Instagram and Facebook as well, and we will see you next week in our next video.
Bye, guys.